From Zero is the 8th studio album by American nu metal band Linkin Park. It was released on November 15th, 2024. It is Linkin Park's first studio album since One More Light that was released in 2017. It is also the first with new singer Emily Armstrong of Dead Sarah and drummer Colin Brittain. All right, Eric, your thoughts on the brand new Linkin Park record, which is controversial.
It is very controversial. Like everybody has an opinion about what's going on with these guys now. First of all, I want to talk about because they made it very clear, and I know there's symbology behind the name of the album From Zero being like um the start or like a rebirth of the band. But are we calling it a rebirth at this time? Like I don't know.
They aren't.
Like
They're just going saying they're Linkin Park.
exactly, which I don't think it's a rebirth. I think they should rename it and call it a reimagination of Linkin Park.
Yeah,
Um, because
reanimated. Yeah.
because I think when I watched her play for the first live little like shindig for the fans and everything, um she sounded good. Like I was like she was pulling off the old songs. I was like she could be good for this band,
Mm-hmm.
right? And it comes in with like that female vocalist, which is always unique. Now like I have a problem with this album because, and I can see why there's a lot of controversy and a lot of split because I am on board. There's a lot of split with her joining the band too.
Right.
So I actually don't mind her joining the band. I will say that. Go free and rip me apart in the comments, everybody.
I
But
guess from what perspective are you okay? Like
like
from the pop culture side of it, because there's that, or from just a musician standpoint from it.
from a musician standpoint,
Okay.
because I think uh like Chester Baker was
Bennington.
unreal, and he's or Bennington, sorry, Chester Bennington, unreal, and he's like iconic to the band, right?
Yes.
And
Yep.
him and Mike Shinoda are definitely two peas in a pod, right?
Yep.
Um, they work well together, but Sarah brings this new uniqueness to it that's like different,
Mm-hmm.
but it still has a little bit of the elements of Linkin Park.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
So
Yeah.
now I'm not saying it's fully, but that's where I'm not saying it's a rebirth. Like it should be just a reimagination of the band.
Right.
Because and it clearly and that's the thing. Like I don't mind her joining the band, but I have an issue with this album because I wouldn't consider this a Linkin Park album.
Oh, interesting. Okay, let's get into that. I do want to hear your
So
thoughts on why you don't think this is a Linkin Park record.
so there are songs on here
Mm-hmm.
that I think are very Linkin Park, right?
Yes. Yeah.
And I would say the first half of this album is very Linkin Park.
Mm.
So from Zero, they usually have those like intros, right, where they're just kind of talking, and
Yep.
obviously it's them kind of discussing like what do they think From Zero means,
Yep.
right? I think the Emptiness Machine is a kick-ass single on this album,
Mm-hmm.
um, and it was such a great debut to show Sarah as, hey, this is the new member or this is the new singer,
Yeah,
right?
it was arranged in a good way because like it's Mike Shinoda coming in first and then
Mhm,
Sarah comes in afterwards. It was a nice intro to her. Yeah.
mhm. I think that song is kick-ass. The one thing that I have a quarrel with the song is at the end of the song, like the outro,
Okay.
when she's singing, or Mike Shinoda's going, I don't know something to be hard and
Yeah.
like I can't remember the lyric, and then she's just singing the emptiness machine.
Yeah.
Like they should have doubled that because they kind
Okay.
of just it
Okay.
kind of just
Yep.
stopped abruptly, and I'm just like, that would have been because that's like you're driving
Yep.
like boom, right? And then
Yeah.
I was like pumped, and I still listen to this song on repeat, and it's in my like rotation for sure.
Okay.
Um, so and then the next single was Heavy as the Crown, which I thought was okay. I'm like, okay, it's Linkin Park, like it's a very Linkin Park style song.
Mm-hmm.
And then I didn't listen to the third single. I can't remember which one that was. But
Two-faced, I think. I don't know.
maybe it was Two Face, but I didn't listen to it until like the full album came out, and then
Oh,
I
I
listened
see.
to it front to
Okay.
back.
Yep.
So then I listened to Front Zero. I'm like, Machine, yep, that's a kick ass like song. Cut the Bridge, I thought was sick. Cut it down now, cut it. Like it was very like, oh, this is sick. I'm like, this
Mm-hmm.
is Linkin Park. And then when Over Each Other came out, or Over Each Other, yeah,
Yep.
Over Each Other. I don't know why that sounds weird to me in my head when I say it, but it was just like, okay, what the hell is this? Because I was pumped up. I was so pumped up. I'm like, yeah, this is fucking Linkin Park, right?
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
And then it kind of just went a little bit downhill from there
Right.
for me.
Interesting. Okay. I guess my question is, what is your listening experience with Linkin Park? Like, how far back do you go with them, and at what point did you stop listening to them, or do you listen to every single record from them?
So I have definitely listened to Hybrid Theory,
Yep. Yeah.
um,
First record.
which is fucking awesome,
Mm-hmm.
right? I have listened to a lot of songs, but I haven't listened to any other full albums.
Oh, interesting. Okay.
So now I guess you could say I'm basing most of my experience on their singles. I have listened to some B-sides of songs. I don't remember the names of
Mm-hmm.
some
Yep.
of them, but I know like I've had the Linkin Park Hybrid Theory album,
Yeah.
and
Yeah. Yeah.
I just remember listening to that on repeat,
Interesting.
right?
Okay. Okay. Yeah. I think for at least the general public, Hybrid Theory and Meteor are the next one
Mhm.
after that. Those are good representations of the quote unquote Linkin Park sound.
And Meteor is the one with Numb, right?
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah, so I've listened
Faint
to
is on that. Yeah.
yeah, okay. So I've listened to most of that album too,
Okay.
for sure.
Okay.
Hmm.
Yeah. Those albums sort of like are very what most people think Linkin Park is.
Hmm.
After that, and this is where I also drop off from Linkin Park. The album becomes more. There's still definitely that new metal aspect to it, where it's Mike Shinoda rapping, heavy guitars, Chester Bennington screaming, all the signature sounds that made them popular. But it did become very more electronic, a bit more
Hmm.
mellower, um, more atmospheric, I would say, and way more
Hmm.
ballads. Like the later records by Linkin Park had way more of those elements than the initial 2-3 records of Linkin Park. So when I listen to this record, especially getting to the ender part of it, I'm like, yeah, this is sort of where Mike Shinoda was going with the band anyways. So like, I'm
Hmm.
not overly surprised with like how most of this sounds. The only one I am surprised with is, I think it's Casualty. Yeah, Casualty, where it's just
Hmm.
a scream fest, and even Mike Shinoda attempts to scream, and it's horrible. I'm like, what is this song? Like,
Hmm.
why did they like try to do like their own version of death metal? It sounds terrible. And I think the biggest gripe I have with this record is Mike Shinoda's vocals. Now I understand past like 4 or 5 records, Mike Shinoda has done more vocal work, and I think he's a fabulous backup singer. But whenever
Hmm.
he does lead vocals, I'm always like, I don't think you are a good enough singer to be doing these lead lines. You have
Hmm.
like a perfectly great singer in Emily in the band. You really don't need to take that chorus, or you really don't need to sing that bridge. Especially in the third song, Cut the Bridge. Mike
Hmm.
Shinoda does the bridge in that song, and I'm like, why?
Yeah, I
There,
know what
it's a
that's a good
bridge.
point.
You should really just belt that thing out and have Emily sing that.
Hmm.
It just killed it for me. Whenever he
Oh,
takes a lead, it always kills it for me.
you know what song I couldn't stand on this album
Which one?
was Overflow.
Oh, okay. Yeah, 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 yeah.
I did not like that song, and here's I remember messaging you, and here's the analogy where I'm gonna put in here,
Mm,
and I think fans who are disagreeing with me are gonna actually lose it when I say this. So I think this is like, so I like the old Coldplay albums, right? Like if you like,
okay.
Rush of Blood to the Head, like the true old Coldplay, great.
Mm.
This new stuff of Coldplay, I'm not into.
Okay.
And this is what it reminds me of. It just reminds me of new
Mm.
Coldplay. That's what this. That's what's like. Some of these songs remind me of.
We're just old. We're just old music fans because this is what old people complain about. Like the band was better on their first album.
But like you can even say Meteora, right?
Yeah, Meteor. Yeah,
Like
yeah.
like and that wasn't like that was pretty
That was a great
like that was
record.
what 3 or 4 albums in?
Third, I guess it depends how you count it. It's technically the second studio album, but in
Okay.
between they would have had Reanimated, which would have been the remixes of Hybrid Theory. But second studio album. But yeah, like I don't know. I do agree with you that, you know, the later half of the record isn't as strong, but at the same time, it sounds to me like the trajectory of where Linkin Park was going in their last few records. They've always pushed for a more electronic, atmospheric, ballady type of sound, which I don't know. I assume hardcore Linkin Park fans really dug. That's why they kept doing it. But that's where I dropped off with this band because it's like I don't really care for this. But I don't know. I think production wise, this record is great. Like Mike Shinoda has always been a great producer / mixer. So I've never had a complaint with that. I just don't. I always find that the song dies whenever he takes a lead vocal. Like I think he is a fabulous backup vocalist, but like if he takes a lead vocal, he's when he raps, it's perfectly fine. I believe everything that he's rapping about. Like there's so much conviction there. But when he sings, I'm just like, ugh. This should have been a proper singer doing this.
I agree.
Yeah.
I 100% agree.
Which is unfortunate. But you know, this is the Mike.
What do you think of the closer?
I liked it. Good things go. I thought it was a good song. I actually, when I first listened to it, I was like, "Oh, this is my favorite song on the record." The more times I listen to this record, I'm like, "Okay, I'm sort of bored with it." Yeah.
I'd have to say my favorite song on this album is "Cut the Bridge."
Cut the Bridge. It's a good song, but again, Mike Shinoda takes the bridge on the song, and I'm like,
that's a good point, and that's something I would change too. Right.
So that's sort of my problem with this record overall. Every single song, I'm just like, there's some choices here. It's funny. I talked about this record with someone else I know, and you know what he told me? He told me, you're thinking too much like a musician. You just need to listen to the record. Because I kept going like, they shouldn't have played this one progression. The Mike Shinoda should have taken this chorus. And he's like, you're thinking too much like a musician.
Well, it's like even in the Emptiness Machine, like the outro there, like if you doubled that, like it's a pumped up song. Like people are gonna be like, and then everything is in that outro.
Yes.
And then I just felt like it was too short. Like I'm not saying like play it till the cows come home. But just maybe that's our problem. Maybe we have to stop thinking like musicians.
Yeah.
And stop. And just listen to it for the sake of listening.
Yeah, I think maybe that's our problem. Maybe that's not Linkin Park's problem. Maybe that's our problem.
That's amazing.
But yeah, I love Emptiness Machine on this record. I also like Stained. I thought Stained was a really good song. I think for the most part, like all these songs are good. It's just I always find that one little thing that I'm like, that sort of ruined the song for me. Like it takes me out of the illusion, or like it like pulls me out of like the vibe I'm in when I'm listening to it. So it's like, you know, like it's like any sort of musical performance, right? Like in any other field, if you get an 80%, you're pretty good, right? Like you've passed the test. But in music, if you get 99% of the notes, I think you failed. Right? Like you need to hit every note.
That's true.
Right? Like, so it's the small little things that that just pull you out of the vibe of the whole thing.
Mm-hmm.
Which is my problem with this record. But I'm not like overly down on it. I think Emily is okay. One last thing. Sorry, I didn't talk about Emily at all. I think she's a good singer. I just don't like her screams.
Emily. I thought I was calling her Sarah. Is it Emily or Sarah?
It's Emily from Dead Sarah.
Dead Sarah. That's right.
I think you were calling her Emily this whole time. I'm pretty sure.
No, I think I was calling her Sarah.
Whoops.
That's another thing the fans are gonna be like, you don't even know her name. You idiot.
I like her vocals. I just don't know about her screams. And I think this goes back to our album review of Fucked Up's record, where I was like complaining about the tone of the vocalist. Like I don't, obviously, like you need a screamer in Linkin Park. I just don't know if the tone of her screams fit the music personally. Because when I hear her, I'm like, Chester could have done that better. Which is, I don't know if that's fair. I don't know if that's a fair criticism to have.
And I couldn't help but think of the same thing, because like even Emptiness Machine, as great of a song as it is, like I'm like, oh man, if Chester sang this,
I know,
holy smokes.
I know,
but I think that's hard for, like, I think every Linkin Park fan is gonna do that. Like the diehard fans are gonna be like, it's not Chester, and it's like, you're right, it's not.
Yeah.
But I think Emily isn't a bad substitute.
Yeah. No, I agree. I do agree with you. Yeah, on that one. Ben, how's it going? Hasn't listened to the album yet. Don't understand why they had to keep doing Linkin Park. Get a new singer, change the name of the band, in my opinion. Yeah, and like I'm sort of in the same boat as that, right? Like I'm fine with them sort of relabeling it Linkin Park, reanimated Linkin Park Zero, whatever. I just don't agree with calling it Linkin Park. That's my only issue with it, because I feel like it isn't Linkin Park.
It's kind of tough, and that's, I guess, where I'm struggling with this album, is that like you have kind of Linkin Park sounding songs, but it's not like the old like grittiness of it.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So, because there's like some industrial elements that need to be in here, where I felt like this was more of like a pop, like almost like you're going to the club kind of sound feel in some of these songs.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's partially Mike Shinoda's like mixing style too, right? Like he's very much into the technical parts of mixing at this point, and he uses a lot of electronics, so that sort of bled into the music. But at the same time, I'm sort of on the fence. Yeah,
they need like somebody like Trent Reznor to just take a hold of this band.
Whoa, that'd be a dark record, man.
Like then it's like, I think that would be just fucking fantastic.
Yeah, that'd be pretty cool. I don't know, man. Like, okay, anyways, let's wrap this up. Final thoughts and ratings. What are you gonna give Emptiness, or sorry, From Zero by Linkin Park?
I mean, I didn't hate it, so I'm gonna give it and I think Emily is a good substitute, I guess you could say. Like, it's not replacing. Nobody can replace Chester. Nobody can. Yeah. But I'm gonna give this a 7 out of 10.
Okay, 7 out of 10. Pretty good. I'm going to give this, as much as I had problems with it. I'm sort of in the same boat. I'll give it a 7 also. I'm gonna match you, because like, I liked listening to the record and I had a lot of fun listening to it, but there's a lot of choices that I felt were problematic on these songs and just pulled me out of it. So there's a lot of stuff I would change. And I don't know, Emily's screaming vocals is like, I just don't know if it fits. I like her melodic vocals. I think they go toe to toe with Chester, to be honest. It's the screaming part that I'm like,
Mm.
I don't know. Okay, so we both give it a 7. Not bad.
Mhm.
Pretty good. But I'd still recommend people listen to it. I thought it was still a fun record to listen to.
Wasn't that bad, and I'd highly recommend listening to that live performance they did
Mm.
because she does do the old songs, like she does play them good.
Yep.
So she's
Yep.
not like outshining Chester in no means, but I mean she does do them good. So
Yep. All right, that was our discussion on From Zero by Linkin Park. For those of you following along with us every single week, the album that we are going to be discussing next time is Bouquet by Gwen Stefani, her brand new solo record. Seems like everyone's going country these days, so why not?
it's the thing to do.
Why not? But anyways, this is a Crossroads Music Podcast. We're here live at twitch.tv/the Crossroads Music Podcast every Monday at 10 p.m. ET, 7 p.m. PT. Catch us on YouTube, Spotify, Apple Music, all the places where you get your podcasts. Again, thanks everyone for tuning in. Chasing Dragonflies, thanks for the raid. Have a good night, everyone, and we will see you all next time.